Hey guys, it's Sam from RunTracks here. I have created this video purely because a lot of you wanted to see it on my Instagram, so please do make sure you stay tuned until the end where I do share some tips and tricks on how to run in the snow carefully. Started off by running down this road, and as you can see, a lot of it has iced over. It hasn't been gritted at all, so whenever I've put my foot down underneath me, a lot of it has just slid away, so I needed to really shorten my stride and make sure that I wasn't falling over at all. Still along here there's a lot of snow, a lot of ice, so I'm just making sure that the areas that I do step on haven't got ice underneath, making sure I'm not going to fall over. My stride is a lot shorter than normal, and my speed also is a lot slower than normal. I've just passed those people on my right, and I know coming up here this road is quite busy. There is always quite a lot of cars, so just before I go to cross I am making sure that there aren't cars coming in either direction so that I am as safe as possible. Also, just as I step off the curb, making sure there wasn't any icy patches underneath me that could potentially be a hazard for me to slip on. Just coming up here now, I do know that on the left hand side there is a slip road that has come off of a busy main road. As you can see, there is a car there, and there is also another car that has just gone past, so I have stopped, let them go past before I've stepped off the curb and crossed over. I've just ran down the slight hill, going through the gate here, and now I'm into the open field where I can start to open my stride up a little bit. I know there's not going to be as much ice, but I just need to be careful with the ground below me. I noticed here to start off with the ground wasn't too hard, it wasn't too soft, it's quite nice to run on. I wasn't really slipping around at all. As you can see, GoPro isn't really shaking too much, it's quite a stable, quite a nice ground, and I'm just going to keep going and just see what happens the further I get into this run. I just wanted to say, make sure you do stay tuned until the end, as I do have more running tips for how to run in the snow safely. I know the stretch is quite long, but I know that the ground underneath me is quite stable, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm just going to keep going, keeping my stride length the same, not trying to alter too much on this part of the run, but I know coming up, as the terrain changes, there's going to be a lot more ice, a lot more snow in places, and the ground's also going to be a lot harder, so we're just going to see what happens then. I've just come through here, and I can see instantly there's people that have already gone through here, and the ground is really solid. But then the parts of ice that I do step on, it breaks quite easily, and you will see that the GoPro's shaking around. I'm trying not to step in any of these icy, muddy patches, trying to keep myself as safe as possible. As you can see, the floor is really slushy, so trying to stay out of that. Right here I'm just trying to stay to the snowy part. I'm hopping side to side, making use of my explosive power so that I'm not slipping over on any of this slush. Just trying to be safe, and then I can see there's a puddle there. I just quickly go around that and around the next one. The ground, you can see the snow isn't really too compact here, so each stride I'm going to be falling through the snow each time. I've chosen this route purely because it looks really nice on film with the camera, but then also because there isn't too many corners. But however, there I did just turn a corner. I was trying to be safe so that I didn't slip over at all. You can see my head's bobbing up and down, trying to look out for this ice so that I don't slip on it at all. You can see there's a lot of frost on the floor, but there are areas of just completely fine floor, but I'm just trying to make sure that I don't get caught out by any icy patches. This is probably the nicest part of the run, just because the ground wasn't too hard here and it wasn't too uneven, so that each step I didn't feel my ankle turning or twisting at all. So I was just going to keep going. I know that my speed here wasn't too quick, but I know that running on snow is always twice as hard as running on dry ground, so I was happy with the time that I was going at, and I was just going to keep going and see what my finishing time would be. My first kilometre I've just come through in 5 minutes 30, but I know I need to pick up the pace. Right here I do notice that there is a change in terrain up ahead. The road would normally swerve off to the right. You can see there's a lot of indents in the floor. A lot of people that have previously walked here, and then the ground's just frozen over, leaving these crevices that I could potentially hurt my ankle on. I do know that a couple of these times, you can see the video being very shaky, but a lot of these my ankle was just twisting to the side. Fortunately I had warmed up prior to this run, so that none of these would injure me if I were to turn my ankle in a severe way. This was probably the worst part of the run. You can see where I'm running now. It's honestly so bad. Every single step I wasn't sure where my foot was going to go. I just had to keep going though. I did slow down my speed a little bit here. You can see here on this part of the road that it does curve off and slope on either side, so I was just trying to make sure I could pick exactly where I was going to run before I got to that point, making sure that I did analyse before if it was going to be safe and whether it would have caused any harm to me. I know just coming up there is a slight stream/river on the side of me, and I know that I do need to cross over in about 50 metres to get to the other side where I can continue my run. Hopefully the ground's a little bit stable, but we're going to have to wait and see. Here I've just gotten to the crossing. I can see the ice patches, they weren't going to catch me out. I just need to be careful here because I know that there was some ice that I had to go over when crossing that bridge. But I do see here the ground is a lot worse. On the left, the crevices that are frozen over could easily slip, but then also on the right where I am running, there is thin sheets of ice that have run off from the surface on the left. A lot of it has frozen over, a lot of it is ice, and each step I am potentially going to break it and fall into some very cold water. Fortunately, I know it would only be a few centimetres, so that's all good. I'm sure you can see from the images, it's very, very unstable on the ground. I'm moving all over the place. Look, you can see I'm slipping everywhere right there. I almost fell on the ground. I'm just making sure that I'm trying to choose the best way. I know right now that wherever I go, it is going to be quite hard to run on. But I'm just going to have to keep going and see where I do end up. I just wanted to take this quick second to just ask you guys whether any of you have ever run in snow and what your experiences were. Was it as bad as mine or was it much better? I'd love for you to share that in the comments down below. As I'm coming around here, my foot's slipping all over the place. The ground is very uneven. There's a lot of small ice sheets. As you can see on the left of the picture, that is a complete ice puddle. If I were to step on that, I'd very likely fall into some water and I'd potentially slip over into that as well. I wasn't too sure where I was going at this point, so I did continue on. I will eventually realise that I was going the wrong way, but it's always good because I was getting extra miles, well not quite miles, but extra meters in on my run. As you can see, I'm about to turn around and I do realise that is the wrong way. I'm going to have to go back. Unfortunately, this ground was absolutely awful because the whole thing was a sheet of ice. So every step I was walking in muddy water, as you can see from the pictures, brown slush that I was stuck in. As you can see, I have quickly just looked down and my feet are absolutely covered in brown sludge, and now I have to try and jump over this ice. I make the lunge, unfortunately I do make it. You can see the whole thing is absolutely caked in muddy brown slush, and I know that it's only going to get worse from here as we close in on the river. You could see from the indents on the ground there how awful this was. Unfortunately, it was a lot more brown icy slush that I was running in now on this last stretch. Fortunately, it wasn't as uneven, so there wasn't a chance of me hurting my ankles at all. Well, a much less reduced chance of me hurting my ankles. You can see the brown sludge that I'm running past on the right. Fortunately, I did manage to swerve past that. Just coming into the last parts of the run, I just want to say I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please make sure you do leave a like and subscribe. Thank you. Right here, I do know that I haven't got that far to go, but I do know that the ground is just as bad as it has been the whole way, so I'm not going to try and put on any kind of a sprint. Just try and maintain the whole pace, try and get a half decent average for running in these conditions. You can just see that the ground is absolutely awful. No one would want to run on this. I have just finished my 2 kilometre split in 5 minutes 30, not too bad. I know where that line of trees is my finish line. I know I've only got about 100 to 200 meters left to go. This last part, I do make sure that my foot is still coming down directly under me so that my center of mass is still stable, the most stable position I can be in. You can see I'm just coming up to it. I've got a slight incline just before I reach the river. And I have just reached the final finish line. You can see beautiful scenes here. Lovely river with some icy frostings just on either side. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will have more content out very, very soon.